Hello everyone and welcome to part 4 step-by-step configuration guide for the vRealize ServiceNow ITSM 8.2 plugin. Now that we have installed the ITSM 8.2 in part 3 via either the ServiceNow store on your production ServiceNow instance or via the XML file perhaps on your developer instance, it's time to configure a few things that are mandatory before we get to use the ITSM application. We're going to take a look at the ServiceNow configuration, and then we're going to move on to the ITSM 8.2 plugin configuration, and then at the end touch on some of the advanced configuration that you might find helpful. In the ServiceNow configuration, we're going to look at enabling application access, enable user criteria scoped API plugin, enable the configuration management for scoped apps plugin, providing script includes access, creating a data source choice in ServiceNow, creating a cross-scope record, setting up user for the ITSM application, and then finish it off with setting up approval and support groups. Starting with the enable application access, the ServiceNow system administrator must enable the application access to certain tables so the ITSM application can work. There are 4 tables that needs to be configured, listed on the slide. And what we need to do is in the search navigator, we need to search for system definitions and select tables from the menu and start searching for those 4 tables. Here we are searching for the question underscore choice table. Once we find that, we'll click into it and then simply click on the application access and make sure that this is accessible where we can read, write, and update and delete. Once these checkboxes are configured, we're going to hit update, and we will repeat this process for every table mentioned here on the slide. Let's go ahead and do that in our home lab. On the developer instance. So in the filter navigator, I'm going to type in system definition. And once I find the table, I'm going to click on tables. I'm going to search for the first table name, which is question underscore choice. I'm going to hit enter. Here it is. I'm going to click on the table. Once the table is loaded and opened, I'm going to go ahead and click on application access and make sure that those 3 checkboxes, that all checkboxes are configured. Read, create, update, and delete. Hit update, and then repeat the same process on the next one. So let me just copy that from the slide, and we're going to go and search for number 2, sc underscore cat underscore item underscore category. Here's our table. Click. Application access tab, make sure all 3 boxes are configured. Hit update. And number 3, search for item underscore option underscore new. Here we go, and click on the link of that table and make sure delete is all 4 are checked. Hit update. And then the last one we have here, the big long name, sc underscore cat underscore item underscore user underscore criteria underscore mtom. So make sure the spaces are not there. And here's the table. So we'll click on its link and make sure we select all 4 and hit update. All right, next we're going to enable the user criteria scoped API plugin. This plugin enables you to create, modify, and delete user criteria records using scripts. If you have the vRealize automation ITSM application for ServiceNow previously configured on your ServiceNow instance, then you can skip this section. In terms of the procedures, is really straightforward. Like any other procedures, we need to log into ServiceNow as the system administrator. We're going to go and search for system definition. And then once under the system definition, if we scroll down, we're going to go and click on plugins, and then once that happens, the all application page opens with the list of plugins and ServiceNow store application installed by default on your instance. In the search box to the right, we're going to enter the user criteria scoped API to search for the plugin. And then once it's found, we're going to click install and then click activate. After the plugin is installed, you're going to get this success message displayed that the plugin or the user criteria scoped API plugin was activated. Click close and reload form, and then we're going to repeat the same thing for the configuration management. I found from the documentation that this is really unneeded step since it is installed by default, but regardless, let's make sure and confirm that it's installed. This plugin imports all the deployments and resources from the vRealize automation to the ServiceNow ITSM application. And like I mentioned, it's usually installed by default, at least from what I found. In terms of the procedures, again, log in as the system admin in the ServiceNow instance, search for system definition in the search field, click plugins again. Once the all page opens on the right hand side, search now for configuration management for scoped apps to search for the configuration management for scoped apps plugin. And once you find it, like you see here in my screenshot, I found that it's already installed, so we're good to go. Now let's go into the developer instance that we have and make sure that those two sub plugins are installed. Okay, I'm logged in here in our developer instance as the system administrator. I'm going to go to the filter navigator on the top left and type in system definition. Once the system definition menu is located, I can scroll down all the way down until I get to the plugins menu, and this is where we get access to all applications or all applications that are installed on this specific instance that we're accessing. And in the search here, I'm going to search for the first sub plugin, which is the user criteria scoped API. And as you can see, the user criteria scoped API, this is to support the create, read, update, delete operations on the user criteria. And this is why this is important for the ITSM 8.2 application that we're trying to install. So we're going to go ahead and actually click install and activate the plugin. It doesn't really take much. Once the user scoped API is activated, you're going to get this success message, and then you can simply close and reload form. Now, since we're here on the same page of the all application, we're going to search for the next sub plugin, and that's the configuration management for scoped apps. So I'll wait for the page to load and then search for the configuration management for scoped apps. As you can see, this enables scoped apps access to identification engine APIs. And as you can see, it's already installed, but it doesn't hurt to make sure that the configuration management for scoped apps is actually activated and installed. Next, we're going to provide script includes access. The ITSM application for ServiceNow requires access to the JavaScript utility functions, or the JSUtil scripts. This access is available from the global scope of ServiceNow, and we need to allow the JSUtil access to the ITSM application for ServiceNow. Procedures, again, here we're logging into the ServiceNow as a system administrator. In the left pane here in the search field, we're going to type system definition, and then from the menu, we're going to pick and click on the script includes. In the search and under the name column, we will search for JSUtil script. and simply click on the link to open the script on the accessible page, and from the drop down menu on the right we want to make sure that we select all application scopes, and once you're done make sure you hit update. Okay, let's go ahead and provide access to the JS util Java function script, and to do that, in the filter navigation here we're gonna search for system definition, and once the system definition menu is loaded, I can scroll down and click on script includes. Once there in the search we're gonna type in JS util and hit enter, and that's the file that you want to basically access, which is JavaScript utility functions. We're going to click on the link here. Once that's loaded, we want to make sure that accessible from, and instead of having this to be this application scope only, we want to drop down the menu and select all application scope and simply hit update. Now moving on, we need to create a data source choice in ServiceNow. So the ServiceNow system administrator is required to create a data source for the CMDB plugin. Of course, you must be a system administrator, and the application scope must be set to global, as I will show later in the demo. In terms of the procedure, logging into the ServiceNow instance as a system administrator and navigating to the system definition. So we can go to the search field and type system definition. And from the menu below, we want to go and check or click on choice lists. And then once that loaded, we'll click new. This is what we're going to add a new record where we will select for the table, we will select configuration item, CMDB_CI, and for the element field we're going to type in discovery_source, and then for the label and value we will type in ITSM 8.x for both fields. Once that's ready, you're going to submit to save the record. So let's create a data choice in ServiceNow. So starting and back to the instance that we have, we will look for system definition. And in the menu here, once the menu is loaded, we're going to take a look at choice lists from the menu and then click on it. Once we click on it, we're going to go and click new to add a new record. Once it's loaded in the table, we're going to go and select configuration item. So actually there's a search field there. So if I type in configuration, you can see configuration item base CMDB, scroll down. Here we go, this is it. So configuration item CMDB_CI, so I'm going to select that. And then in the element itself, I'm going to type in discovery_source. Right. And then for both the label and the value, I'm just going to copy this from my slide. We need the label to be ITSM 8.x, and the value is ITM 8.x as well. All right, so we're good to go. We're going to hit submit to save it. And that's it. Next, the ServiceNow system administrator is required to create a cross-scope record. Obviously, you must be the system administrator in ServiceNow, and also you have to make sure that the application scope is selected as VMware vRealize Automation ITSM application, and I will demonstrate that section in the demo. In terms of the procedure, once you log in into ServiceNow as a system administrator, go to the search field and type in system application, and then from the bottom menu, look for application cross-scope access. Click new once the page is loaded, and in the target scope field, you want to select global, And then in the target name field, you want to select glide record period set workflow. In the target type field, from the drop-down menu, select scriptable, and then in the operational field, select execute API. Make sure that the status is set to allowed, and click submit to create the new record. So let's go ahead and see that in the instance that we have. So before we go ahead and create the cross-scope record, first let's do one thing here that I'm going to demonstrate is by clicking the cog or the settings in the top right-hand corner and clicking on the developer section under system setting. You want to toggle both the show application in header and show update set in header as well. When you do that, these two things here, two menus, are going to drop down. It's going to be very easy for us to select. As you can see here, by default, the application scope is always set to global. And this is what we did in the previous step when we created the data source choice. I forgot to actually show you that, but by default, it was set to global, which was the requirement for that step. In here, before we actually carry on the procedure, what we need to do, we might want to make sure that the application scope is set to vRealize or VMware vRealize Automation ITSM application 8.2. And then in the file navigator, what we're going to do here, we're going to search for system applications. And then under the menu here, we're going to click on application cross scope access, hit new, and automatically that selects the source scope for us, so we don't have to select it. If you try to do this before clicking on the application scope, you will have to select the source scope yourself, which we don't have to here because we did that already. In the target scope, what we're going to search for global. So once we type it in, we can see it, and then we can select it. And then in the target name here, I'm going to copy that from the slide, and that's going to be glide record. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that here. It's going to be glide record dot set workflow. And in the target type, I'm going to select scriptable, and in the operation, I'm going to say I want to execute an API, and I want to make sure that the status is set to allowed. These are the settings that we need to enable the cross-scope privilege when we're creating a record. Once you're done, go ahead and set submit. Now we need to set up the ServiceNow users to manage the VMware vRealize Automation ITSM application configuration, and the end users to actually be able to use the ITSM application user portal. For the ITSM application, the system administrator has to create two types of users. The first one is the VRA ITSM 8.2 application admin user. This is the user that is responsible for all the administrative tasks including application configuration, endpoint registration, user entitlement, and so on. The required roles, as you can see on the slide, these are the 4 different roles that we will need to assign the admin user who's responsible of all these administrative tasks. The second type of users is the VRA ITSM 8.2 application and user, and this is so we can allow the users to use the VMware vRealize Automation user portal in ServiceNow, and there is, like you see, 1 required roles. If you've used the plugin or earlier version of the plugin, as you can see here, we no longer require to use the ITIL role. The procedure is documented step by step based on the documentation, but let's go ahead in our instance and create the application admin user and an application end user in our development instance. So let's go ahead in our development instance and create those two types of users, the application admin and the application end user. Starting with the application admin, I'm going to go to the filter navigator and simply type system security, and that's going to give us the access to the users and group section. So under users, I'm going to go ahead and create a new user. Feel free to assign this to existing users in your instance or even groups, but this is a brand new development instance with some demo users, but I'm going to go and create those dedicated users. So the first one, for simplicity, I'm going to call this ITSM_admin. First name ITSM, last name admin, and for title, I'm gonna say you are the ITSM administrator. I'm gonna assign a password. And one of the things that I do here, I always set the time zone relative to where I am. So I'm in Eastern Canada, so I'm going to say Canada Eastern, and I'm going to submit. So that's the first user that I'm going to dedicate for the application admin user. Let's go ahead and create the second type of user, and that's the ITSM_ for simplicity user. So ITSM first name, last name, user, and that's going to be ITSM simply user. And we'll put a password. And again, I'm going to go and set the relative time zone, and I'm going to create submit. Now, both these users are created. All we need to do now is assign them the required role. So let's start with the ITSM admin. If I type ITSM, here's the two users I've created. I can click on the ITSM admin and scroll down to the roles. And this is where I can edit the role of this user. The first role that we need to add is the catalog admin. So catalog right now is admin. So here it is. So I'm going to select that and add this to the roles or the list roles for this user. The second one is agent admin. So here it is, type agent, and I'm going to also move that to the list of roles. And then the third one is X_, and automatically you will see both the catalog and the end user. You want to add both of them to the roles list for the ITSM user or the ITSM admin group, maybe, perhaps. So let's save this. All right. And then let's do the same and go hit update and go back and select for and add the roles required for the end user. So the ITSM user, I'm going to click on it. Just like the ITSM admin, click edit on the roles and simply click X_. All I need to do here is add the end user for any of the ServiceNow users that you want them to consume or use the ITSM 8.2 application user portal, so they can request items, as long as, of course, as we will see later in the video when we create entitlement for those users. So I'm going to click save and hit update. All right, now I can go and for example, to test this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and impersonate, and I'm going to log in here as the ITSM admin. Once I log in as the ITSM admin, I can simply go to the filter navigator and type vRealize, and automatically you will see all the menus for the vRealize automation. For simplicity, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to simply add this to my favorite, so I don't have to go and type. Therefore, I can just simply click on the favorites menu and then have access to all the menus and different configuration that we will touch on later in the video. That's actually provided by the plugin since we install it. So and then if I want to go in and impersonate or end the impersonation and go and impersonate myself as the ITSM user, I can simply go in and click on the ITSM user. Right now the ITSM user has no entitlement, but still we can search for the vRealize automation and add this to our favorite. So when we later log in as the ITSM user, we can simply click on the star and access the menu. And you can see one of the menus here is the user portal that the user is going to click on to launch the user portal that will be populated with all the catalog items that the ITSM user is entitled to. As a final step in the ServiceNow configuration side of the house is setting up approval and support groups. The ServiceNow system administrator can add users to the approval and support group provided by the ITSM application. Users in the approval group are responsible for approving or rejecting the deployment requests made by the users. Similarly, the incidents created on failures of catalog request submission or day 2 action will be assigned to users of the support group. In terms of the procedures and in terms of what was documented in the documentation, we do this by editing the user and updating the group membership of the user. Of course, you can do it the other way around, where we can go directly to the group and basically add the required or the selected users to the each of the approval or the support group. Now, take a note that if you do not add any users or groups to the approval group, the requests made by the users will be auto approved. So let's go ahead and add our ITSM admin user to both the approval group and the support group. Okay, so back to our developer instance. What we're going to do, we're going to set up both the approval group and the support group. And to do that, simply in the filter navigator type system security, to get access to the users and groups. And we can do this in 2 different ways. Like I can simply go to the users and look for my ITSM admin or the group if you want. So here I'm gonna say ITSM underscore admin and click on the ITSM admin, go down to and click the groups tab and simply edit this group. And here I can simply go and look at vRealize and I can add both those groups to the user. This is one way of doing it. Or if you want to do it the other way around, we can go and click on groups instead and look up the vRealize groups, and you can see these are the 2 groups that we have available to us. And then we can go to the approval group and simply go in and edit the group members, and then the group members here being edit, and select the ITSM user. So I'm going to add the ITSM admin to this one, and then I'm going to go back, hit update, and then go to the support, and also add the edit the group membership of the approval group and add the ITSM admin to it again. And then you can repeat this if you want to add more users to those required groups.